Woo! The Golden Stallion, the Man of Tomorrow, Savzu, the Rated R radio star. Oh, baby. Let me tell you, I've got something to say, and there's someone very particular that I want to call the fuck out. Just right opening this baby up. I want to call this guy out. I mean, man, the feelings I'm feeling right now, you have no idea. I have to call out none other than Jim Jesus of the Lulberts, who of course you can find at lulberts.com. Happy birthday, motherfucker. And of course, that happy birthday is coming not only from me, but also Brandon von Stormhaven, who is, he's actually a Sovereign Tech patron, and he's one of the Lulberts, just an all-around, solid guy. So, from him, from Brandon and myself, happy birthday, you room-loving No. I love the room, too. Don't worry. But I was thinking, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play some kind of show tunes or something. I'm going to play something from Broadway, some kind of musical. But then I said, I kind of have a rule where I don't play copyrighted material necessarily on Patreon work. So we didn't do that. But I just want you to know that genuinely, man, I mean this, Jim Jesus, you are appreciated. I think you actually do incredibly important and solid work. You reach out to people with egoism that I don't think I just can't imagine that I would ever, that my voice would ever go to, or that I'd even really bother to try. Not that I'm opposed to it. I think it's wonderful that you do it. Okay. And I don't think it's a waste of time. I just think, hey, good for you, man. You're doing the Lulberts that's some fun stuff. I listen to the show. It's great shit, but happy birthday to you, man. I think he's about my age. I'm not exactly sure how old Jim Jesus is, but anyway, right on, baby. So happy birthday to you. I could sing the song. I could actually sing happy birthday because I think that they finally got that out of copyright after all that hoopla over the past however many decades. But I'm not going to torture anybody. I know there's people who can't stand it when I drink tea on the microphone. I can't imagine that you'd want to hear me singing anything at all, quite frankly. So I'll spare you that. But I do have to say one thing though. If I wanted, I'd love to take you out for dinner, Jim Jesus. But we'd have to go to Five Guys because they are just the best burger place. Like all the other ones, fuck them. They just don't even compare. So if you're willing to go to Five Guys, fine, we'll do it sometime. But that's my one my one stipulation in the whole matter. Just kidding, man. So happy birthday. All right. Normally I don't do that, but when you got people of this kind of quality, ask, of course I'll give you, actually any patron, I'll give you a birthday shout out. Absolutely. If I know it's your birthday. So, but that one comes out, like I said, from me and from Brandon von Stormhaven. So, all right. Let's get into the more serious business, things that actually matter. No, I'm kidding again. Relax. Your birthday matters, Jim. I'm glad you exist. Seriously, I'm really glad you exist. And I don't say that about a whole lot of people. But, okay. So we've got quite a few questions I want to try and get through today. Of course, if you're wondering why my voice maybe sounds a little less melodious, that is simply because I am recording from my Zoom H6, which was thankfully purchased off of my Amazon wish list, by a Sovereign Tech listener. And this thing is not cheap. Holy shit. And wow, I'm still exploring all the things that this can do. I might even replace it. I might even take this thing, seriously, I might take this H6. So it has 4 XLR ports on it, meaning that you can, you plug it in, or you don't even have to plug it in. It can work off of battery power. You can put it into, you could connect. Oh, what am I trying to say here? Yeah, you could set it up like in a studio and it could work as your mixer board, right? And and this thing does everything, like right into the device itself. It handles the compression. It handles a lot of low cutting, all this different stuff that normally I just do in Audacity because that's the software that I generally use for my podcast recording, even though recently I've been looking at some others. But I'll always, be thankful. Like I always recommend anybody know Audacity because when the shit hits the fan, Audacity's everywhere. You can use it practically everywhere except for maybe mobile. But in any case, I'm seriously considering that this thing is so powerful. I think it could literally replace my Behringer mixer board, So we'll see. I don't know that I'm going to get rid of my mixer board, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe if someone wants one, I'll sell it to you. You can own the mixer board that makes Sovereign Tech. In fact, I used this the other day to record the last part of the Temporary Autonomous Zone by Hakeem Bey that I did for Sovereign Tech First University. Got a lot of great reviews from that. Thank you. I am so glad that everybody is enjoying the audiobooks that I'm releasing from Sovereign Tech First University. I think the next one that I'm doing is A Bible Not Borrowed from the Neighbors. I think that'll be the next one I'm doing. It's either that, I might do Stirner's Critics next. Well, one of those it'll end up being. I mean, I have a ton of egoist works. If there are other like subjects that you think that I like espouse that you would want me to do an audiobook about, I'm willing to do that. Like with egoism, you know, look, I'm not afraid of copyright and all that shit. In many ways, I just don't care. Okay. Not really. But, you know, with egoism, if it's an egoist work and if like they came after me for copyright, I'd be like, are you kidding me? What part of egoism didn't you get, you piece of shit? You know? So I don't mind doing egoist works or anarchist works in general through that. But yeah, in any case, you know, let me know if there's books out there that you'd be interested. I mean, I'm definitely handpicking these to where, like, say either the chapters or the book overall is shorter, just so that like it can come out within a month and like I have the time to really record it. So, you know, there is purpose behind it. I do want to lean towards shorter books. Like if you're going to ask me to, you know, do Battlefield Earth by L. Ron Hubbard or something, which by the way, you know, Scientology bullshit aside, yeah, L. Ron Hubbard sucks fucking ass, or, you know, and Scientology does too. But that book is awesome. Not the movie. Don't talk to me about the movie. I don't want to talk about the movie. But the book, you know, Adventure of the Year 3000, whatever, or Saga of the Year 3000, as its subtitle is. Man, that is a fucking badass book. One of the best. Just one of the best. Great audiobook. Actually, there already is a great audiobook out there of that. And it's tremendous. It's very well done that you can get on Audible. So, all right, enough bullshit. But yeah, this H6, man, this does the deed. You know, like this is, it's so cool. And like the person even got me the waterproof case and everything. Like what's so wild. So I can also connect this and it can work as a pass through to my, you know, to my laptop. So I can just plug it in, you know, via USB to my laptop. And then I could still run it through Audacity if I needed to. Which is exactly what I did for the last part of the Temporary Autonomous Zone that I recorded. I mean, like in such a small form factor, you know, you can have an entire podcast studio. You can even bring on, I mean, fuck, you know, you could bring on a couple of, like even if not, well, I wouldn't bring RE20s, but you know, if you brought some nice Shure microphones or something like that and you plugged them into the XLR, I mean, in a laptop bag, if you have a small enough laptop, but you had like a 15-inch laptop bag, I mean, you could bring an entire professional studio with you anywhere you go. It is positively remarkable the way, you know, I say this all the time, but it's positively remarkable the way that technology today is empowering the individual and making the individual far more mobile, you know, far more independent and far more mobile. And mobile without the cost of efficiency, effectiveness, quality. You know, I mean, I think it's just, it's amazing that we've kind of come full circle, because it seemed like for a few decades there, you know, I mean, you could go back to like, you know, you read classic books by D.C. Beard or something, right? And oh yeah, you know, you could be a backpacker and you could have everything in your backpack and away you go. But, you know, we're talking the early 20th century or even, you know, late 19th century, whatever. And you could have, you know, just do all these amazing things, have a little halcyon stove maybe even. But, you know, then for a while, you know, once you get a lot of the larger fruits of the Industrial Revolution, right, then suddenly you become very much dependent on a lot of, you know, on big technology to really do, you know, amazing things, to give the individual the ability to do things that it used to take 100 to 1,000 people to do, right? But now, you know, we're really to that point. Not to say that there aren't certain trade-offs that may be ethically questionable, but we're really to the point where, you know, no, now you can go back to living out of the backpack, you know, and you can go and you can do the most amazing things. You could do an entire show like I do. You could do, well, I don't know if you're going to do it like I do, but, you know, you get my point. It's amazing. It's fucking amazing. You know, what every individual can be an entire media empire today, or some kind of production, whatever you end up doing. It's just, man, it blows my fucking mind. It's so, there's so much wrong with what goes on in the tech world today, and there's, a lot of addictions within the tech world that are a very real problem in my opinion. But at the same time, like, it's amazing what one can do. So, okay, I'm not here to talk about all of that. And let me see how we're doing on time. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so let's get into some of the questions here. And the first one comes. So some of these are actually asked from the Patreon page. Let's see. How do you imagine a site like this would implement taking Litecoin? Best idea I can come with I don't like, or maybe it means I do like. So what that has to reference, what that question is referencing, is when I was talking about how Patreon, like some of the recent problems with Patreon, which I think Patreon has resolved a lot of that. And like I said, I really think, what's the guy, whatever, I can't think of the name of the CEO of Patreon. But I think, there was the fee structure change that was coming. That's been resolved, right? I mean, and I think I only lost like 2 patrons out of that. I imagine some other people got hit pretty hard, but maybe people came back once they found out that they weren't going to make the change. They're probably still going to make some kind of change in the future, but whatever. So the question becomes, is that, like, how do you do a site maybe like Patreon that would take Litecoin, that would take cryptocurrencies? That way maybe people couldn't get cut off. It could be, more censorship resistant and everything. Because people, I mean, I don't have a problem with the fact that Lauren Southern is off of Patreon. In fact, I applaud them for it. But there's people who are pissed off that she, or, maybe even just the abstract idea that somebody could get removed from Patreon, that's a problem. Well, I mean, there are people that are trying to solve this, right? Like you have yours.network, which is run by a guy that I consider rock solid, that being Ryan X. Charles. He and I might be on differing sides when it comes to Bitcoin and Bcash, but a good guy. I've had dinner with him. I mean, we've hung out. I think he's a really cool dude. But he's been trying to set up yours.network, which is exactly that, like a way for you to get paid via a microtransaction system that would allow for, creators to get paid, right? Now, the thing with that, here's the killer. So that's a way to do it. But understand that for yours.network, the reason it hasn't totally been released yet, because I signed up for the beta, like, I think 2 years ago. I mean, it was a long time ago, anyway, like, they had to figure out an entire new way to really do transactions, so that microtransactions could really be a thing. And so they've had to kind of seesaw back and forth. In fact, Litecoin, they were considering using Litecoin as their payment structure, or, their payment system, I'll say, which I thought was a nice move. I think they've recently said they're going to go with Bcash or something like that. Whatever. Look, again, folks, I don't care if Bcash exists, like, but let's just call it what it is. It's a altcoin. All right, I don't mind. You like Bcash? Rock and roll. It's okay. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with, like, some of the platitude, or some of the tactics that are being used by the community there against Bitcoin, but whatever. Anyway, I'm not. I've already talked about that before. I'm not going to get into that. So how do you? Yeah. So I'm not exactly sure how you would set this up, because you'd have to come up with a completely, like yours.network is doing. You'd have to come up with a completely new system for microtransactions, okay, to make this work. Because the main thing that Patreon has that none of these other, like, pay for content sites have. Like, I mean, there's LibrePay, there's others where you can, set up donations and everything. The main thing that they've got that just bests everybody, okay, is the custom feeds, the custom RSS feeds that allow you to, that allow me to release this podcast to you. But when you stop say, being a patron, when you end your patronage, that RSS feed from that point on no longer gets new episodes. Like, to have that RSS feed controlled by a paywall, that's what one of these sites would have to implement. And I'm still amazed at how Patreon pulled that off. And it's probably the biggest boon Patreon's ever pulled off. Like that, and now they're trying to implement video that kind of works in the same way, even though that's still in beta, and I can imagine why. But that is, that's the secret sauce. That's the secret weapon right there. That gives Patreon, like, it's bigger than the network effect. Like, it's that much of and I don't even know if it's that innovative. Maybe it's easy to do. So, but if it is, why aren't more people doing it? Because this is what podcasters love about Patreon is that ability. Okay. But in my mind, that is such an amazing technical feat. One of these days, I'm going to talk to them about it. Maybe I can get one of them on the show or something, and I can ask them, like, how did you pull this off? Because that's really it. So yeah, you would have to come up with a very, very unique payment structure that would require connecting to a singular address, for recurring payments and all this. And people are working on this sort of thing, though. Like these projects are well underway, to exist. So hope that answered that. Okay. Let's go on to another one here. So let's see. This is actually in response to the wrestling review that the lovely hyper-intelligent Dr. Stephanie Murphy and I did of Clash of Champions, which I know we went to that in Boston. I know a lot of people really enjoyed hearing our review of that. They also enjoyed hearing Stephanie's review of Star Wars The Last Jedi. Let's see. So it says, I've never had any interest. Well, okay, quick. So what I asked at the end of that, I said, let me know if you're interested in more, me doing more reviews of wrestling or talking about wrestling more or whatever. Because now Stephanie and I watch it, we watch Raw, we watch SmackDown. We're watching it all the time. But anyway, so the person asked that I've never had any interest in wrestling, but I'll listen to you and Stephanie discuss anything. Thank you, by the way. I'm honored by that. Seriously, though, even as a non-wrestling fan, this was fun and interesting to listen to, and I've had no problem with you two continuing to talk about wrestling. So, okay, cool. Well, I don't know if I'm going to. I have other projects that I've got to get out there, but I've had a few other people say they would love to hear us continue talking about wrestling. I may continue to do that. It might just be for the pay-per-views. Like, we're really excited about the Royal Rumble pay-per-view because there's going to be, for the first time in decades, there's going to be an all-women's Royal Rumble at the Royal Rumble come end of January. Royal Rumble's always been my favorite wrestling event. We have tech questions, folks. Don't worry. We're going to get into tech questions. Okay. But that's always been my favorite pay-per-view event. So this is really exciting for me to, we'll probably do a review of that because I think that's kind of history making, at least within the wrestling world itself. Not that there haven't been women's battle royales, but a full-on Royal Rumble. That I'm curious to see how that's going to how that's really going to take shape. And I imagine Trish Stratus is going to come back. Blah blah blah. So, okay. So at the end of that, she said, though, but what happened to the hentai? Okay, so these are things we are going to finish up. While back, one of the first perks on Patreon was Stephanie and I were reviewing various episodes of various series, hentai series. Hentai, for those that don't know, is pretty much anime porn. Okay, in Japan, from Japan, or even in America. And it's some of my favorite porn because, it gives porn a real validity in that because it's animated, you can do anything. And so, yes, it makes sense to watch porn instead of just have sex because you can see things that just aren't possible in real life. And so, there's an understandable, justified appeal, I think, to it. Not to say that hentai is perfect. There's certainly problems with hentai. There's plenty of them. But those are the things that we discuss when we've reviewed these episodes. So you can find, now you might not realize this, but on Patreon, I know I have new patrons and other people also upped their donations recently, and thank you. And I can guarantee you that there will be purpose behind you upgrading your donations very soon, and I appreciate it. But anyway, when you go to the Patreon page, I think if you are already a patron, it takes you automatically to the posts tab on Patreon. So, and to get to Patreon, of course, you just go to sovereigntech.com. You know how to get there. You're a patron. You're hearing this. On the left-hand side, there will be a bunch of bubbles. and they're all like subjects. You can find the one that says hentai, and you can click on that, and then it will show you all the episodes, even though they were released like over a year ago. Okay, maybe even longer than that. You can find all the ones about hentai. But Stephanie and I will do more of those. Those are coming up. We actually still have to finish the series. I mean, we finished it, but we still have to put up about Fencer of Minerva, and then we'll move on to maybe Le Blue Girl, Bible Black. Bible Black is what I really want to move on to. I'd love to get even more people on with those to talk about them. Get multiple women's perspectives on the matter. I think that would be very interesting. So I don't know. We'll see how that ends up working out. But okay, so that's the score with the hentai ones. Those are going to be coming out. There's a bunch of series. I have them all written down of ones that I need to finish up. There's more comic book top 8s I need to do. There's quite a few of them. And again, 20, like I think I've been dropping hints, if not explicitly saying, like the latter half of 2017, my schedule, actually the whole damn thing, all of 2017 was just fucking insane. Like it was nuts. So many things that I was working on. Like Free Rossathon and I mean just a slew of things, and I had some very beneficial opportunities to take advantage of that were too good to pass up. Not that I don't think Sovereign Tech faltered from that. I mean, you can't, like, seriously, if anybody can say to me that you're not getting plenty of content for your buck with this, I mean, please tell me. But yeah, some projects that I wanted to have come out in 2017 just obviously aren't coming out in 2017, and they're going to come out, they're going to start banging out in 2018 because, a lot of that work has come to an end. And so now I have more time. Anyway, okay. So there's those. Let's get into some of the tech questions here. So, let's do the MTProto one. Then there's we got one about social media accounts, but, so the question was, let's see. Last week, Telegram quietly upgraded their encryption algorithm to MTProto 2.0 with their 4.6 release. I can't seem to find any information other than that it is now IND-CCA compliant. Given criticism of MTProto 1.0 by many revered cryptographers, I'm really curious to know if there are any real improvements in the 2.0 release. Have you heard any details about MTProto 2.0? To your knowledge, has anyone with a reputation taken a look at the new algorithm? As always, I appreciate your perspective and comments on new developments in the cryptosphere. Okay, so MTProto is the encryption protocol that Telegram uses, that Telegram themselves made, and it is very new, and particularly version 1.0 has problems. Okay, like it has real problems. Like I applaud the effort, and there was in the early years of Sovereign Tech, I was really, really on board with Telegram for quite a few reasons. One is that it's run by Pavel Durov, who is a billionaire anarchist, and I mean full-on triple black wearing anarchist. He is the real fucking deal. Okay, ironically, his main competition, even though I think that Pavel Durov would say that they're not really competition. They appeal to different niches. Or that Telegram appeals to a mass audience, Signal appeals to a niche, but Signal is also run by an anarchist, that being Moxie Marlinspike. So, kudos to both of them, I guess. But Telegram, yeah, there have been varying issues, some of which have been resolved. I mean, there was even the secret chats were being stored in plain text on your device, which is a problem, even though the secret chat encryption was certainly better than just having things run through MTProto. Because, it's more client-side encryption than it being done on a network. There's a bunch of other stuff. And pretty much, the point that I got to with Telegram, after a lot of people looked it over and, I did my own research and everything, and I have not done research on MTProto, not like code deep research, is that, look, it's an alternative to Facebook, treated as such, Yeah, don't bet your life on it. Don't rely on it for super secure communications, but it absolutely is a solid alternative to Facebook. It is so feature rich. They do so many things right in the abstract. The encryption, sure, there's problems. There's real problems. And you can say, and I understand this way of thinking completely, that, bad encryption is like no encryption. Yep, I get that. Okay. This is definitely not like now it's called the Signal protocol, but we used to be called the axolotl protocol, which is what Signal uses. So with MTProto 2.0, all of that said, so I'm not saying don't use Telegram, okay, even with what I'm about to share with you. I'm not saying don't use Telegram. I'm saying understand what it's for, okay? It's an easy-to-use thing to get people off of the teat of the tech giants in, in Silicon Valley and around the world, okay? That's what I think it's good for. The one thing it's really missing, and I've had fairly popular, because you can kind of create groups on there, or channels as they call them. Like I had a Dark Android channel and all this, and they were pretty popular. The one thing that it really needs to finally be the Facebook alternative is it's got to have threading. It has to have, threading, meaning that you can read threads, you can create threads within the messages and all that. If they come out with that, then it's time to fucking leave Facebook and everybody get on Telegram, and don't expect your stuff to be under the best encryption, but at least you're not fucking giving it over to Facebook anymore. So anyway, but that hasn't happened yet, but who knows? So MTProto 2.0 might actually point at the fact, though, that could be happening in the future, because as far as I can tell, I haven't seen it, not like Chris Sagoyan or Steve Gibson or anybody. I haven't seen any of the big names, talk about MTProto 2.0. I think they just write off Telegram as okay, no, this is such roughshod encryption, that we're not even going to bother. You can't really save it. It doesn't appear, from what I have seen, it doesn't appear that MTProto 2.0 has actually made any improvements in the encryption. What it allows for is the encryption protocol of MTProto to get wider spread use and connect to like a specific server API. So this seems more like an improvement to allow other services to use it and have it all connect to and have it all use the singular API that connects to very specific servers and everything. So that could be hinting at that there's going to be, Telegram might come out with, either it'll be built into Telegram, or there could be a separate app from Telegram that is like a direct Facebook competitor of some kind. And certainly Pavel Durov knows how to do that. I mean, he was one of the creators. He's far removed now from this project, but he was one of the creators of what is known as the Facebook of the East, that being VK, but whatever it was, Vine Conke or whatever the fuck that stood for, but VK.com. So he knows how to do it. He gets it. He understands how social media works very, very well, because that's how he made one of the ways that he made his billions was off of VK.com. So I think that might be what that's pointing at. I don't know. So to answer the question plainly, no, I see no actual encryption improvements with MTProto 2.0. It seems more like it's a setup for that encryption scheme to allow for different interoperability. That's all. That's my grasp of what's going on with MTProto 2.0. So I hope that answers that. But that dovetails nicely right into the next question, which I'll cut kind of shorter since we're running a little bit lower on time. And the question is, what if I could keep one social media account? Because the person was bringing up, well, you're on this, you're on your subreddit, R Sovereign Tech, you have the Facebook group, you've got all these, you have your Twitter account, you have all these different, venues within which people can interact with you. And it seems like each one has, different content than the other, like my Instagram account is something else, blah, blah, blah. Like, which one would you keep, is basically the question. So, and boy, it's a tough one, because and the reason different content shows up on different ones is partly because, each venue, each social media network kind of offers different features, right? And has a sort of a different mindset behind it. Even though now, I'll tell you, Twitter with that 280 characters now, Twitter with 280 characters definitely makes that a far more viable system. And just like what we were saying about Telegram, like if Twitter came out now Twitter has threading more or less, but if it had groups, that's the one thing it doesn't really have is groups, where you could create your own sub Twitters or, sub Twitter or whatever effectively. If it had that, Now that could get interesting. I mean, you can do like ad hoc groups, right? Like you could make lists of people and you could share that list and everybody could just kind of follow and interact with that list, and then you kind of have a group. But that stuff wouldn't, like that, all that would still be public to everybody else. So it doesn't really serve the, the basic purpose of like a conversation being kept over here and not being out to the world. But boy, if Twitter came out with groups, man, that'd be another winner too. That'd be another one of those situations where it's like, okay, yep, time to leave Facebook. But which one would I keep? Would I never delete? Honestly, it would probably be Twitter. As much as I love Instagram, and I really do love Instagram, and I hate to say that because it's Facebook owned, but I loved it before it was Facebook owned. I've mentioned this many times on the show. Instagram is like what I really is the kind of what first hooked me on the internet was actually like the sharing of pictures and all that. I get so much inspiration from what's on Instagram. I mean, I get tons of inspiration, like nonstop. So I really do love Instagram, but yeah, Twitter's probably, and the only reason I say this is because Twitter's the phone book of the internet, way more than Facebook is. But I mean, by a long shot. And what I mean by that, now Facebook Messenger, a lot of people could make the argument that, well, that's really like, your phone number now. That's how everybody wants to get in touch with you and everything. And I understand that. But Twitter, like if you want to put out there, where you are and how to get in touch with you, Twitter is the easiest to share. Maybe it's not, doesn't have the biggest network effect, but it's absolutely the easiest thing to share with people because you don't even have to share the URL. You just share the at whatever, at Sovereigntech, at MK Lords, whatever you want to, put out there. Okay. So Twitter would probably be the one that I would really hold on to. I mean, and Twitter has a lot of effectiveness. I mean, Facebook has some of this effectiveness too, but where, you can really like, as a consumer, as a customer, you can go after companies pretty hard and the whole world sees it and it makes news. There's just, there's a lot of advantages really to Twitter. I mean, and I use Twitter, a fair amount, quite a bit. There's also like, Twitter does a better job of giving me notifications of like, say when someone or some company or whatever tweets, as in like I can set those notifications, those push notifications up and everything, which is really nice. So, I mean, Facebook does it too, but Facebook, like, Facebook has totally fucked everything up because now, even your notification center is algorithmic. And so like they could bury things that come from other, that come from pages that you follow or something like that. It's terrible. And I, even in my own group, not that, I mean, we only have like 140, 150 people. I don't know, something like that in the Sovereigntech Uncensored group. I can't keep track, and Facebook doesn't even notify me of every post that goes on in there. And I'm the fucking admin. So insane. So the one that I would probably keep would be Twitter. I mean, and also the other advantage of Twitter, even more so than Instagram, though Instagram's plays a little fast and loose with this. Twitter, allows for, rampant pornography. You can post whatever more or less whatever the fuck you want on there. And they know that that's like a major part of their bread and butter. They, just like Tumblr, they wink at all of the pornography, that exists on Twitter and all that. So, I mean, Instagram allows it somewhat, but they have the rules of, no bare butts, or, well, more or less no bare butts, no nipples on women anyway. And so that they have some stipulations as to where Twitter largely has no stipulations. I mean, people still get banned from Twitter, but that's a whole other conversation. So that's probably the one that I would, if I had to choose one, that is likely the one that I'd hold on to. And again, mainly because it's just so easy to create an account for it. It allows for the anonymity, but also, you can share exactly where you are. And direct messaging. I mean, a lot of people get in touch with me through direct messages. And that works, just fine and dandy, as well as Facebook Messenger does, and actually it's a lot cleaner than Facebook Messenger, because Facebook Messenger is just, getting inundated with ads and some unnecessary features and whatever else. Of course, I mean, Signal is king, right? But I mean, Signal isn't exactly, I wouldn't count that as social media at all. So, so I think, to answer that question, that'd be the one that I stick with. not saying that Twitter is the best, not saying Twitter is the end all be all of, of great social media or anything, saying anything remotely like that. But, it does the job. And again, it is, the main thing is that it is so easy to share. It is so easy to share your contact information. And it's far simpler than even a phone number, by a long shot. So that's pretty impressive. And they do a lot of encryption, right? Like they have, perfect forward secrecy, a lot of the things that they've built into their account. The EFF always gives Twitter, very high marks for how they implement a lot of that stuff. And the fact that they allow for, they don't really have a real name policy, I think is fantastic. So of course, all that is rife for abuse as well. I think a lot of like CNN and a lot of news organizations, I think and even companies, I think and celebritarians and a whole slew of other people, they create what are called sock accounts, right? They make it seem like that there's some kind of opposition, or they create accounts that allow them to do what appears to be, natural marketing and all this crap. Yep. So this stuff can get abused, but whatever, Better to have like the freedom of anonymity and have to deal with sock accounts than for the opposite, in my opinion. So, so that's my thoughts on that. But and secondary, like if not Twitter, yeah, it would probably be Instagram. If I could, if more fucking people would get on Line, as in Line Messenger, LINE, Line's awesome. They're not as open necessarily with a lot of things, but they have a degree of encryption. One could say that encryption's their letter sealing, they call it. One could argue that that's kind of questionable encryption, but whatever. But Line is so great, but you just can't get people on it. You can't get people to use it in the United States. Around the world, it has almost as well. It doesn't have. It's one of the closest to reaching the amount of users that Facebook has. Okay, and obviously it's huge in Southeast Asia. You can get lots of people to use Line, outside of the United States. But in the United States, you can't get people to use it. And if people did use it, yeah, then I'd probably stick with that. Like that would actually be my number one. But yeah, people just, I love it. It's so cute. The stickers are great. You can express so much. It's so wonderful. And there's so many little fun things that you can do with it. And that's a huge corporation. I have to give them credit. Like they keep on trying to make it in the Western world. They really, they're not quitting, and kudos to them for that. But that, if more people use that, if that had the network effect, or even like, Twitter's engagement, I'd be there. That'd be the one that I'd hold on to, and I wouldn't even need Instagram, because Line just fucking does everything. Line is its own internet if it wanted to be. It's really it's such an impressive app. So okay, let's move on to another question here. Here's a funny little one. This was asked on Twitter. What's your favorite color? Black is not a color. Okay. So obviously longtime listeners know, and if you're a patron, I kind of assume you're a longtime listener. Obviously, listeners know that everything, just about almost everything I own, everything I wear, certainly, it's all black. And that's where I come up with the phrase triple black, the man who wears triple black. Because my underwear, everything, all black. Though I do have some pink and red and whatever. Anyway, and I'm not going to get into, I've told the story. People have asked me this a million times. I've told the story before of why I started, because I've been wearing triple black, as it were, for all intents and purposes for like almost 20 years now. That's just, it's been, ever since I was a teenager, it's been my thing. I'm not going to get into why again, unless somebody really wants to ask that question. But so this is kind of funny, because this argument goes, I've had this argument quite a few times with friends about black not actually being a color. Now, when you consider Roy G. Biv, okay, like as in the real color spectrum, okay, within science, black is actually, I think black is the presence of all colors, right? I think it's the presence of all colors. So actually it's every color. Black is totally a color. Or maybe it was white. Anyway, whatever. So, but funny thing is the color that's not really a color is pink. Now, people argue about that, saying, oh, no, actually pink is a color. But, this gets into huge arguments, genuine scientific arguments over what's a color and what isn't. So I'm not really going to go down those roads because I've done that way too many times. What is my favorite color outside of it? Well, I got to tell you, and there's some ladies who know this. Okay, I cannot, and I'm not. I don't. No need to get into how this developed or whatever. And some people might find it strange because of my history at the military, sure, but. Man, when women wear olive green, when they wear olive drab, oh my God, that is so hot. That is the hottest thing next to black, of course. I mean, that a woman can wear. It's just so sexy. Oh man. So one could argue that olive drab is my favorite color besides black, or that green maybe in general is my favorite color. Certainly Green Ranger's my favorite Ranger, but But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, outside of, I love pink, like hot pink. Hot pink's a great color. I love red. So I don't know. It fits somewhere. I guess I have a trinity of a favorite color. It's somewhere between green, hot pink, and I mean really hot pink, and red. Like I just those are that's my jam. If I'm buying something and it has some kind of accents. If black and red is the option, I normally go with that. Only because hot pink's almost never an option. But if hot pink were an option, what I was getting, then yeah, I'd probably go with the pink. I have lots of stuff that's pink. Yeah, but anyway, and then of course green would be the next thing. So, funny question. I don't know. Whatever floats your boat about what I'm doing. But anyway, but I mean, wearing triple black, black is a color. And, that fortunately for me, when I became an anarchist, that's just something that anarchists have done forever. I mean, almost for centuries, or really for centuries. They've always worn all black. You go down the list of names, Sam Konkin. You can go way back with, in the anarchist tradition. And I know that's kind of an oxymoron, but in the anarchist tradition, and, you're going to find all these people that just, that's what they wore. They wore all black all the time. And because it symbolizes that you're a person with no country. That's what the black flag stands for, is that, you have no country. You fly, you fly no colors other than the black flag. So, or you have the black rose, right? That's a very popular, or that used to be a very popular anarchist symbol, which should be popular again, really. The black star, a lot of that. And then, now people want to add on colors to those. But, for me, anarchism is anarchism. There's no prefixes or suffixes, really. I mean, I always say, yeah, I'll say I'm an egoist anarchist if I have to, just to make sure I'm not included with certain groups that do want to wave a color. But yeah, it was just fortunate that I was already dressed for the occasion, when I became an anarchist. So, okay, let's move on. Maybe we can get in one more question here. This one, this is good. This is a fitness question. I like that. I'm down for that. So, do you ever wear lifting straps? I find that I can do deadlifts with much more than, well, I don't know how they're writing that, but anyway, I get your point. So you're saying that you can do more deadlifts than what your arms will allow you to carry. And if you wear what lifting straps are, and these come in all different kinds of designs, there's varying ones, okay? What lifting straps are is usually it's some kind of strap. Maybe it's Velcro, maybe it's not even Velcro at all, and it's just some kind of grippy rubber or something like that will wrap around the bar, be it on a barbell or a dumbbell or whatever you're using. Maybe even an easy pull bar, though I don't know how well they work for those. And they, and you can lift, and the idea is that it takes some of the stress off of your arms. And so if you're doing certain weight exercises, that you could, you could hold the weights longer than what your forearms and, your arms would normally allow you to carry it, or, lift it for, or carry it for, or whatever. So they asked if I use those. Now, here's the funny thing. For a while, I stopped. I have used those in the past. In fact, I have a pair called Grizzlies that I use now. But anyway, I'll tell about this. So for a while, for a couple of years, I stopped using them. And the main reason I stopped using them was because I did like a whole workout special for Patreon that you can find. that where I break down my entire routine, even though that I need to really do an update to that because there's so many new things that I'm doing now. And in that, like I think I said that I only work out for like 25 to 30 minutes every day. I am totally up to where I'm doing an hour plus every day now. Of working out, and literally every day, 7 days a week, if I can help it. Some days you can't help it. You're traveling or there's too much going on. But as long as I'm actually home or maybe at a hotel where it's available or something, I work out absolutely 7 days a week. So I need to update that. But anyway, that'll be for 2018. Maybe I'll do like a yearly edition where I do an update, and I'll do the 2018 edition or something like that. So for a couple of years, I was using, and I still do use them. Again, weightlifting straps aren't for every kind of workout. Okay, I'll describe a little bit more about that in a minute. So I use what's called fat grips, and that's fat, F-A-T, and then grips, G-R-I-P-Z at the end. And what these do is they're like these rubber, they go over the bar, and then again, they work on dumbbells or barbells. And it makes it harder to lift, but it activates more of your forearm, and it just makes for a harder workout. Okay, when you have it creates a fatter bar for you to grab hold of, and so it's engaging a lot more muscles and really like giving you kind of a new feel to maybe old workouts that you do. So I've been using those, and there's a couple model of those. And I have both. There's like the normal fat grips, then there's fat grips extreme, which are really thick. And I mean, for example, like if say you're lifting, I mean, I don't, normally use this weight, but it's like, say you're doing curls, like dumbbell curls, and you're using, 35s, right? Now I use, well, anyway, we won't go into that, but I use significantly higher. But if you're doing, say you're using 35s, like if you put those on, say you can easily do like 12 reps of, with 35-pound dumbbells of dumbbell curls. If you put on the fat grips, it's going to be a lot harder. You're going to be lucky if you can do six or 8. Like you might even have to go down a weight. You might have to go down to 30-pound dumbbells or something if you're using fat grips. Okay. So I think these really work. And one of the nice things that I think these fat grips do is they give your forearm a workout kind of at the same time that you're not necessarily working out your forearm. And that's really advantageous because the forearm is one of those muscles, sort of like your calves is another one, your abs are another. Your forearms, your calves, and your abs are muscle groups that you can work out daily. Like they have very quick recovery times. Okay, so you could work those out like literally every day. You could do that. So the nice thing about the fat grips is that is constantly working out my forearms with every exercise that I do if I'm using those. Okay, so for a couple of years, I was using those pretty much exclusively. The thing is, you can't really, most, lifting straps that you can wear on your hands won't go around the fat grips. Certainly not the fat grips extreme. In fact, it's even like antithetical. Like it doesn't make sense to do that because I'll explain because I've reintroduced weightlifting straps into my routine, but I'll explain to you why I've done that. So that's why I didn't use weightlifting straps for a while, but I think that they're very handy. They're very useful. And here's why I think they're useful. And here's why I've reintroduced them. I've reintroduced them because I've been made aware. I mean, I'm always doing research, I'm reading at bodybuilding.com and, Flex Online and all that, how to get bigger, stronger, all that. Right. That's the goal. Smarter, bigger, stronger, wealthier, be more empathetic, right? Like that's the goal in life. And hopefully all that leads to a lot of sex, but that might not be what you're going for. Anyway, so with, what I've learned is that there's certain workouts, say like shoulder workouts or leg workouts, varying groups, or maybe you're working out your traps or your back or something like that. And if you're using dumbbells or even a barbell, which I try not to use a straight bar. When I say the term straight bar, that I'm referencing a barbell, okay, where it's something that it's taking both of your hands to do the same motion. That's another conversation for another time of why I don't exactly use those. But I'm not saying that there's necessarily anything wrong if someone someone else, does. But anyway, so when you're doing those, it's like, say it's shoulders, right? And you're, or say traps, let's say traps, and you're doing shoulder shrugs, okay? Where, you're lifting, one shoulder. Well, a lot of people learn to lift both shoulders at a time. It's actually more beneficial, as I understand it. And I think I've seen the difference. It's more beneficial to activate one trap at a time. Your traps is the muscle like going down from your neck. Okay. And, just do one side at a time. Okay. So when you're doing that workout, you don't want to like you're working out your traps. You're not working out your forearms. You're not working out your triceps. You're not working out your biceps. You have a very specific muscle group that you're working out. If you're not using weightlifting straps, and you're getting towards the higher reps, say of doing shoulder shrugs, doing trap shrugs, right? What's going to end up happening is you're going to be activating your biceps a lot. And, maybe you're at a point where your biceps are in a recovery phase, right? Because you just did arms, the day before or the day previous or whatever, however long you do splits between your arms workouts, which I do. I actually do much larger splits now between my arm workouts than I used to. I used to do like arms like 3 days a week and like I do them in succession. Now I give them a lot more recovery time. But again, I'll talk about that on a 2018 workout special of some kind for Patreon. So, but anyway, so you don't want to activate your biceps. You don't really want to activate your forearms. You don't want to activate any of your arms. You're working your traps. So this is where a weightlifting strap, or where straps come in. Okay. If you have straps and you've got it wrapped around the dumbbell, you can hold on very loosely to those dumbbells. Okay. And then, you really are just working out that trap and you're not activating your arms, at all, or at least barely you're activating your arms. This is good for if you're doing like power partials for your shoulders, like where you're doing lat raises or something. You don't need to activate your arms. You don't need to activate your triceps unless like you're doing triceps on shoulder day, then maybe, you want a little bit of that action, that's up to personal taste. Okay. But you want to, you want your hand, you want your grip to be as loose as possible, but then you don't want your dumbbells, flying across the room either, right? So weightlifting straps are very handy for that. That's why I've reintroduced them, because now like my arms are to the point where I need a lot of recovery time in between arm workouts. And so I don't want to activate them on days where I'm doing, and like, it's great for like if I'm doing legs and I'm doing lunges, side lunges, forward lunges, back, whatever, and I'm doing lunges and, I'm holding, dumbbells at my side. Okay. If I have them in the weightlifting straps, I can just hold them very loosely and I don't have to worry about, activating my arms, and my arms can actually, have the opportunity to recover. So weightlifting straps are a great thing. What you're looking for in them is kind of up to you. Again, you can get the more Velcro kind. You can get the kind where it's just like my Grizzlies, they just have like the rubber that kind of folds over into your palm and that kind of holds it up. And that does the job fine. That really does the job fine. So yeah, I've definitely been reinterested and reinvigorated, for size particularly to reintroduce weightlifting straps. I'm not so much using them for deadlifts. I do use them for deadlifts, but that wasn't so much the purpose behind it. The reason that I reintroduced them was mainly because I really don't want to activate, and that's part of deadlifts too, I guess, but in many ways I don't want to activate my arms, when I'm doing a workout, when I'm working out a different, muscle group, than my arms. So, and if you are working arms, that doesn't mean you can't use them to do certain arm workouts. Like maybe you're doing, well, for a good example, I don't know. See, that's the thing. Like if I'm doing arm workouts, I want my fat grips on, on the bar, and because I want to be getting in that forearm workout at the same time, with that. And I do want to activate my arms. So, the argument for why I use weightlifting straps doesn't exactly make sense in that case. But so you could use them, like say you're doing, and I forget exactly what they call this workout, but where you're holding, your palms are facing outward from you, okay? And you're holding the dumbbells, or it could even be an easy curl bar. You're holding it at your side, and you're not curling, but you're just lifting it up. You're bending your elbows in the almost in the opposite direction. Obviously, you're not you're not double jointed or something, but like you're bringing it up along your side instead of bringing it up to your chest. Okay. And like that kind of workout where the dumbbells or the easy curl bar are always hanging down. Yeah, you could use straps for that, and maybe that would get you, into a few more reps. But I don't know that would happen. Like, I don't know if they even make sense for that, because, your biceps, I mean, that's a bicep workout specifically, and your biceps are going to wear out, so you can't lift it anyway. It doesn't fucking matter if you can't keep holding it up. Like, your biceps aren't going to be able to bring it up your side. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's my way of thinking with weightlifting straps. So that was an older question, but kind of fun to get to it here at the end of 2017. Maybe a lot of people are about to go get some gym memberships, go work out, go for it. I mean, look, and I'm not saying, don't confuse me. I'm not the kind of person that says, oh, everybody should be working out. Everybody should be, fit and thin and all that crap. Absolutely not. You look however the best you is up to you, not up to me. Okay. So, you do that all you want, but I know some people want to get in shape. I hear from a lot of you, and yeah, go hit the gym, and bring some of this, this equipment. There's arguments to be made about weightlifting gloves in general, but weightlifting straps, no arguments there. And you could just explain to them, no, I don't want to activate my arms today. And that's why I'm doing it. And if they give you shit, they're stupid. Like, I mean, they're stupid. They have no clue what actual professionals say about this sort of thing. So anyway, hope that's helpful. And I think we'll wrap it up with that. I did have a couple other questions here, but we can save them for our next Wednesday Q&A. And of course, we do have a new Sex and Science Hour coming out this week. We'll have a new Relationship Rhombus show. You're gonna get hit pretty hard over the next few days, because we've got a Star Trek update that we got to get to, and boy, got some cool stuff to talk about in that. Especially Star Trek Boldly Go number 15 was phenomenal, and some interesting news about Tarantino. Holy shit! So we'll be talking about that. So we've got a Star Trek update coming up. You also, again, there will be a Relationship Rhombus coming up, and we have our Hangout, which is happening coming this Friday. That'd be actually Friday the 29th. So, and I think that'll be at 5 p.m. So lots of cool stuff to talk about, and lots of cool stuff coming up that I will be releasing. And man, I mean, New Year's is on its way. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a special New Year's podcast of some kind. And of course, I have a Dynamite Sovereign Tech lined up. And thank you to everybody who really enjoyed the episode with Mistress Harley. I'm glad you liked that, because she loved doing it. I mean, she really loved doing it. She's like, oh, when can I be on again? I have to be on again. And I was like, well, of course you can be, far be it for me to not allow a lady to have a microphone. But anyway, we'll see how all that shapes up. But I'm glad that everybody enjoyed that. So I will see you on the other side. And everybody else, hey, go wish Jim Jesus, find him on Twitter or something. Find the Lulberts. Go tell him happy birthday. I'll see you on the other side.